Have you ever looked at a map of Britain's coastline and wondered why certain dots seem to shimmer out of place? Or why the Ministry of Defense quietly edits satellite images, blurring entire islands into nothingness? Have you ever seen an island marked only by a single, chilling word? Restricted. For decades, beneath the seemingly calm surface of British waters, there have been rumors of prisons that officially never existed. Places where the crown of secrecy weighed far heavier than the crown of the monarch. It all began in the smoky aftermath of the Second World War. While victory parades echoed through London, unmarked convoys of barges slipped silently out from Portsmouth. Their cargo, hidden under heavy tarpaulins, was described only as secured biological materials and high-risk personnel. The official story, simple, decommissioning, but an unofficial record. A half-erased ledger buried deep in an archive called them something else. Containment sites A through K. These were Britain's secret island prisons. Engineered not for visibility, but for forgetting. Each one stood deliberately beyond the reach of journalists, of courts, and even of geography itself. The coordinates existed, but the truth did not. The very first site was built atop an abandoned fortress in the windswept Outer Hebrides. Its cell blocks were cleverly hidden beneath massive radar domes that were labeled as a meteorological station. But local fishermen noticed strange supply patterns. Crates of food arriving with no return manifests. Massive fuel deliveries to islands that were supposedly uninhabited. And when one curious trawler ventured too close, a black helicopter, its official markings sanded away, hovered menacingly overhead until it turned back. Back in Westminster, questions were asked in Parliament, but they were asked only once before being mysteriously erased from the official Hansard record. The reason was discovered scrawled on a classified memo between civil defense. Officials saw a single, cryptic phrase. Subjects pending. Reassignment under heliotrope directive. That became the phantom word. The thread woven through every conspiracy. It was a directive that authorized offshore detention for any individuals deemed incompatible with domestic containment. What that actually meant, nobody ever dared to define. The Cold War gave this secret project its momentum. Britain's greatest fear wasn't invasion, but exposure. They were terrified of defectors, scientists, and political intermediaries who knew too much about things like chemical trials conducted on home soil. To detain these people publicly would invite a massive scandal. To hide them offshore offered complete and total silence. So, engineers from decommissioned submarine yards were quietly rehired under civilian contracts, tasked with hollowing out solid rock. They dug 4 miles, creating corridors lit by the eerie orange glow of sodium lamps, building chambers lined with lead, and disguising ventilation shafts as innocent-looking bird-watching towers. By the 1960s, at least 7 of these islands had vanished from official maritime charts, replaced by blank, blue squares. Local pilots started calling them the ghost coordinates. And yet, sometimes, their radar screens would catch faint, rectangular shadows hovering where there should only be open sea. In 1974, a maintenance diver was assigned to service an undersea cable near the Isle of Barra. Suddenly, he reported hearing voices crackling through his comms-line orders, spoken in clipped, military English. His supervisor dismissed it, logging the event as simple interference. The diver never surfaced. Search teams later recovered his tether, which had been cut clean, as if sliced by heavy machinery. The story briefly hit the newspapers. Headlines blared for a single edition before they were all pulled. The editor later admitted to receiving a phone call from a number that didn't exist, telling him to drop the story. What made these prisons so unique wasn't the stone or the guards, it was the silence that was engineered into their very design. Each complex contained a chamber known as the null room. It was windowless, clockless, and soundproof a space, designed to completely erase a person's perception of time. Behavioral scientists, watching on hidden monitors, studied how long a human mind could endure such perfect isolation. Some prisoners lasted days, others simply broke, whispering nonsensical coordinates before collapsing into a sleep from which they never woke. By the 1980s, a new term appeared in declassified budgets: Island Rehabilitation Program. But just as quickly as it appeared, the line items vanished in the next fiscal year. mysteriously replaced by funding for coastal resilience research. But the secrets couldn't stay buried. Satellite imagery from the period shows faint grids of light flickering on stormy nights, energy signatures consistent with habitation. When the BBC requested access under the Freedom of Information Act, the reply was telling. The material was withheld, they said, for reasons of ongoing security relevance. Ongoing, the single word that confirmed the program still existed. A decade later, an environmental researcher studying marine pollution stumbled upon an exclusion zone marked simply as E-sector. Within it, her sonar readings bounced off perfectly flat, artificial surfaces 20 meters below sea level. They were metal, not rock. But before she could publish her findings, her university abruptly withdrew all her funding, setting obscure national interest clauses. She left the country 2 weeks later and was never heard from again. Every few years, more evidence resurfaces, like flotsam from a wreck. A rusted shipping container washes ashore near Cornwall, filled with military rations, dated 1961. A fisherman in the Bristol Channel drags up a heavy chain-stamped Mod Property K. An amateur pilot photographs an uncharted runway, slicked with rain and flanked by barbed wire fences. Each clue points to the same disturbing pattern, a secret so powerful it has survived its own purpose. Then came the digital age. Satellite trackers, open-source cartography, and hobbyist drones made it impossible for the government to simply erase islands anymore. So instead, they began to blur them, smudging the pixels under vague privacy agreements. Users on online mapping forums started noticing strange, irregular cloud formations that were permanently fixed over certain coastal spots. Clouds that never, ever moved. A group of online investigators tried to crowd map one of these zones, west of the Isle of Lewis. As their drones approached, they all lost signal simultaneously. Their batteries were drained instantly, and their GPS systems began looping in meaningless circles. When the drones were finally recovered, the footage showed only static, except for one single, terrifying frame. A human silhouette, standing ankle-deep in the surf. Who's watching? Some now say the prisons have been automated, run by AI surveillance and self-sustaining power, with algorithms guarding the ghosts of the past. Others believe prisoners are still alive and their descendants trapped in a state of perpetual quarantine. The truth, it seems, sits somewhere between hard science and a waking nightmare. Whistleblowers from the Ministry of Defense began leaking fragments, delivery receipts for medical isotopes, contracts for desalination units capable of supporting hundreds of people, and procurement orders for a synthetic vitamin paste labeled simply Crew Sustenance. When these documents were cross-checked with satellite data, the dates aligned perfectly with known heat signatures picked up over the ghost coordinates. One contractor spoke to a journalist anonymously. His voice shook. "We were told it was animal research," he said, "but I heard voices: English, Russian, Arabic. It was people, not animals." Within months, he disappeared. His flat was found empty, except for a map pinned to the wall, with red string connecting the Hebrides, the Bristol Channel, and the island of Alderney, the last of the Channel Islands to fall under British control during the war, once home to Nazi concentration camps, and later sealed off for so-called rehabilitation housing. Its network of tunnels remains closed to this day. The official reason is asbestos, but locals swear that at low tide, you can hear the hum of engines coming from deep beneath the cliffs. The investigation widens. In newly digitized archives, historians discover the Heliotrope Amendment 4, signed in 1962. It authorizes the use of offshore facilities for the indefinite confinement of individuals deemed an existential security risk. No oversight committee ever countersigned it. It was legal, and therefore, it was invisible. Fast forward to the present day. Energy companies proposing to build offshore wind farms are routinely denied permits near these coordinates. The reason given is that cables already exist there, buried deeper than required, carrying no known current. Marine biologists record strange temperature plumes rising from the seabed like warm breath in the cold ocean. In 2019, an investigative podcast managed to contact a sailor who claimed to have serviced one of the islands. His voice trembled through a wall of static. "The place was awake," he said. "Lights flicker on before you even touch the generator." He refused to give his name, and then the line went dead. Days later, his boat was found adrift. Its radio had been melted by salt water, even though the hull was perfectly intact. The internet may call it a myth, yet freedom of information requests continue to be refused. Not with the standard "no records exist," but with the far more sinister phrase, "cannot confirm or deny." In the coded language of government, that is a confirmation. What remains beyond question are the structures themselves. Independent sonar mapping has revealed uniform, right-angled foundations scattered like chess pieces across Britain's western approaches. They are too regular for nature, and too silent for any normal use. When storms roll in, the sea above these hidden grids sometimes glows with a faint, greenish light, as if something electrical is stirring deep beneath the waves. Locals call it the island pulse. Official agencies dismiss it as a simple algae bloom, but thermal readings prove it. Peaks at exactly midnight, GMT, the precise hour that military test shifts would traditionally change guard. A coincidence, they say. But history rarely believes in coincidence. The deeper question isn't just what these prisons held, but why they were ever needed. Perhaps they began as a grim wartime necessity, then became a habit, and finally, an addiction on empire unable to live without its darkest secrets. Each government inherits them, too dangerous to close, and too shameful to admit. The piles of documents stamped to destroy after review grow higher with every administration, and yet, night after night, patrol drones still leave naval bases on blank manifests, flying out over coordinates that don't appear on any civilian map. Satellite pings reveal movements mole, rhythmic, and deliberate. If these facilities were truly abandoned, who or what is maintaining them? Some speculate Britain sold them to private security firms, offshore corporations that specialize in containment technology. Others believe they now serve as digital fortresses prisons. Not for people, but for information, housing servers that store the data that governments cannot afford to delete. But the locals continue to see things that data can't explain. Orange lights glowing under the waves, metallic echoes rolling up the cliffs on the wind, and the faint sound of radio music coming from no known station at all. The line between living prisoners and lingering energy blurs, until both feel the same evidence of a country haunted by its own need for control. When modern explorers sail too close, they find their compasses spinning wildly. One sailor filmed it. The needle danced violently, then froze, pointing directly inland, as if it were being magnetized by conscience itself. The more you look, the less you can see. The clearer the water, the deeper the lie. And maybe that was the point all along. Maybe Britain's secret island prisons were never really meant to hold people. Maybe they were built to hold the truth. Yet the sea remembers. Rust surfaces, power hums, and coordinates continue to leak. And with every new generation, the question is asked again. Do the islands still breathe? So next time you're standing on a British coast and you feel the wind carry a low, metallic rhythm from somewhere beneath the tide, don't just dismiss it as your imagination. It might just be history, knocking from under the waves, waiting for someone to finally open the door and let the forgotten names of Britain's secret islands rise to the surface once more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. If you found this unsettling, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. We'll see you next time.